Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite books from 2022. I had a really hard time narrowing it down this year because I've read so many good books. I was actually going through them and I was like, this was all this year that I read this, because there's some from the very beginning of the year were really good, but I think I managed to do it. And without further ado, let's just hop into those books. Okay, so we'll start with number 10 and work our way up. I want to say that I think I put these in order, but as I was going through them, like, I don't even know if this is the right order or not, but like, I loved them all, so it doesn't really matter. I also want to say that I have very few physical copy books of these because I tend to make all my friends read the books that I absolutely love, so I like force my favorite books down people's throats, so I just don't have a ton of the physical copy books with me, but I love them enough that I should probably get physical copies of the ones that I don't have. So number 10 is Lucy on the Wild Side by Carrie Rhea. This was actually our first book club book for this channel, and so it holds a very special place in my heart. But I think the reason why it made my top 10 was because I was really just so pleasantly surprised by it. I really didn't know what to expect going into it. I'd read the description and stuff and it sounded cute, but I hadn't heard anybody talking about it or anything like that. So I think it was nice, also refreshing to go into it without any, and it was just like, it was also just pleasant to be able to go into it without any bias of other people's opinions just clouding my, like, influencing me. So that was nice. But I loved the characters. I loved the cute animals in it. I thought it was funny. It just had everything that I look for in a rom-com, so this is number 10. I want to apologize if you can hear my dog in the background. He's playing with a bone over lunch, so I'm sorry if you can hear that going on in the background. Number 9 is the Dark Olympus series by Katie Robert. Specifically, Neon Gods was one of my favorites. These are fantasy retelling, like Greek mythology retelling romances. I wasn't really expecting anything going to these, but I loved them. I think I've come to the conclusion that I absolutely eat up any Hades and Persephone retellings. I love it. I don't know what it is about it, but I just absolutely love it. Maybe it's the original, like, enemies to lovers. It's definitely one of my favorite books of the year, and like the spice in these books is it's hot. Number 8 is the Zodiac Academy series. You know that I'm actually still not finished this series. Same with, oh, I guess I never mentioned that Dark Olympus series. I'm also not finished. I've only read the first 2. I'm not quite finished with Zodiac Academy, but I flew through these books this year. If you've been watching my channel for a while, I have over like 150 books and series that I'm ongoing, but I prioritize Zodiac Academy because I love the story so much. Is the writing the best? No, but it's just fun. I understand why everyone loves these books so much because they're just fun. Like, they're one of the only series that like makes me, when I put the other one down, I'm like, I immediately need the next book. I don't want to wait to read the next book. I want to read it immediately. So that's why it made one of my favorite books of this year. The 7th book is The Romantic Agenda by Claire Can. It is an LGBTQIA+ romance. It follows an asexual female main character. This is actually, I think, the first book where the main character that I'm reading is asexual, and so it's just really an interesting read for me because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about asexuality and romance, so I thought it was really a really well done story. I can't speak to whether it's a well representative story of asexuality, but I thoroughly enjoyed the story. Joy, the main female character, I absolutely loved her so much. Like, she is one of my favorite people, like, romance characters that I've read this year. I don't even know what it is about her, but just like I felt so connected to her, and I absolutely loved this book. And I think that it deserves so much more talk that it gets. I don't think I've heard really anybody talk about it, and I just love this book so much. I want everyone to read it. Number 6 is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is a contemporary romance, and it's Grumpy Sunshine, with the woman being the grumpy and the male being the sunshine, and also it's age gap, but again reverse age gap where the woman is the older one. So I just thought it was really a unique story. I haven't read a lot in like with those tropes, but the thing that I loved most about this book is that it was the perfect mix of being goofy and serious. It definitely had some really serious topics in it, so make sure you check trigger warnings. Actually check trigger warnings on all these books probably, but it had that while also having a baby goat, so the perfect amount of goofy and serious for me. I also just want to say Daniel is like, he's like peak book boyfriend. Coming in at number 5 is the Ariel Ethereal series, specifically the first one, And More and More, by Becca and Krista Ritchie. These are contemporary romances that take place in the circus, so a very unique storyline. I absolutely love them. The other name they go by sometimes is Circus's Family. I've seen both on Goodreads. I'm not sure what is the actual main one, but I listened to these on Audible, and in Audible it's called the Ariel Ethereal series. So just want to put that out there. I actually listened to these while I had COVID this year, so you'd think that I wouldn't remember them very well, but I do. I loved them. I wasn't really listening to audiobooks during that time because like I usually listen to audiobooks while I'm taking Kevin for walks or things like that, and I obviously wasn't leaving the house, but I did not want to put it down so much that I was just lying in bed listening to it because I loved the book so much. And it also convinced me to buy the full 10 books of the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series without reading any of them, so hopefully I like it. But that's how good this book is that it convinced me to buy a 10-book series. 4th place is the Insider Trilogies by Tijan. I again have only read the first 2 books of this. The third one hadn't come out at the time when I was finished them, but it is out now, so I really need to prioritize reading that one because I really loved this story. This series made me realize that I need to read more romantic suspense because I ate this up. I ate the storyline up. I also really need to read more bodyguard romances. I don't know, all of the tropes in this book, like, it just really sucked me in. I wasn't really expecting it. I think that's another thing. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was just going to be like a spicy romance, but it had this amazing plot too, so I just loved it. Third book is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Emily Henry can do no wrong in my eyes. I am definitely one of those people that just like Beetroot is probably one of my all-time favorite books like ever. I recommend it to everybody. This one is a close second. I definitely liked it more than People We Meet on Vacation. I find that it's whatever Emily Henry book that you read first, that's the one you end up liking the most. From what everyone I've talked to, if they read We Meet on Vacation first, that's their favorite Emily Henry book. If they read Beach Read first, that's their favorite Emily Henry book. But this is one of my favorites. It had everything. I loved the fact that it was a small town romance with big city characters. I just thought I just loved that trope. I thought Nora was very relatable in a lot of ways. I wouldn't say I'm super harsh or anything like that. Most people wouldn't think I would have anything I would relate to Nora, but I did. I just think the way that she thought about things was just very relatable. And Charlie, like, who couldn't love him? He's so sweet. But yeah, I loved this. Book number 2 is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is another contemporary romance, and I know that this is very mixed opinion, but I think most people also loved this book. But I just adored it. I think my favorite part of this book was just the description of Ontario. It was just I have never read a book that like did such a good job of describing Ontario, and it just doesn't happen very often that are like it that if it is mentioned at all, it's Toronto. So it just doesn't happen very often that Canadian cities get referenced. And I just thought the author did a really good job at describing the landscape and everything like that. So I was able to like be fully immersed in the book because I could picture everything so well. But I just like loved this book. It is very similar to Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. So if you liked that book, you'll probably like this one. I personally wasn't like a huge fan of Love in Other Words, but I adored this one. The ending, I think the only thing, if I could say anything bad about this book, is that the ending was a bit rushed, but like obviously I'm ranking it number 2, so it didn't matter to me that it was. And finally, at number 1 is The Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac series. I know that this is a weird one to be putting as my number 1, but I loved everything about this book. I loved the plot, I loved the characters, I loved the spice, I loved the romance in it. I love this series, and I'm so sad that I finished it. I actually finished this series in like a couple of months, and each book is like over 500 pages, so I whipped through these books. I loved them. I can't say enough good things, and I really like, if you are seeing this and you've read Zodiac Academy but you haven't read this series, this spin-off series, please read it. It takes place 5 years, I think, before the beginning of Zodiac Academy, and it's just so good. I can't say enough good things about this series, so that's why it's my number 1. Yeah, that is my top 10 favorite books of this year. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite books of the year were down in the comments below. I'd love to hear and see, like, we can like chat in there. But yeah, that's the end of this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.